Howdy team, welcome back to the podcast. We are back for episode 2. You've got Mr. Curtis Evenden, Mr. Cassidy Haberfield, and myself, Guy Anderson, here for another epic podcast. So tune in, dial in, and let's level up. Kurt, what are we in for this week, brother? Give us a run through.
So the run through for today, we're going to go through wins and lessons from the week just prior, and then we are going to share our motto or mantra that we're coming to this week after reflecting on last week. Then we'll go into some questions, so it's a bit of a deep dive. We're going to go into an underrated health tip that's really worked for us and we find great benefit from. We're going to go into where are men missing the mark these days. And then we're going to go, what does freedom mean to us? And we're going to do ways to lead with your heart. And then, we'll let it flow, of course.
Yeah. We're going to try and time these to around about an hour. So if we're left with stuff to go that we've left there, then you'll just have to tune in next week and catch back up.
Just tune back in.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll start with you, Guy, I think today.
Okay.
Your wins and lesson from the week.
Wins and lessons. Now, there are no losses, only lessons. Win would be... last week I just feel we've been doing these tarot card readings at home every night. George has been pulling them out and then she'll do a reading and then she'll punch it through ChatGPT and it'll give us a sort of a run through and we might say the intention or the reflection from last week and what we might have felt like we were lacking or what felt like it's been working well for us. And so last week I feel was really quite good for me in terms of it was the intention going into the week that was slowing down and just practicing, being more aware, socially aware of everyone else rather than himself and stuff like that. And it was also to have a winner's mindset in everything I did, play to win. And so there were a few opportunities that came up for me to execute on that intention. So we did a rap battle on Saturday night with Tynan and stuff. That was just random how that came up. I did the Samson challenge on Friday as well, and there was
arm wrestle
and the arm wrestle as well. That's right. So there was a few things that sort of showed up for me and how I needed to show up to win. And yeah, it was cool. It was a great week. The lesson is how can I implement that mentality in everything I do, because there were so many occasions where I was like, I'll just back out here, or I've done enough, and then it was in that moment that I was like, hang on, but my intention is to play to win, so I do have to show up, and so that would be my lesson, is how can I integrate that mentality into my day to day. Beautiful.
And your motto coming into this week?
My motto coming into this week is celebrate. So today is Brotherhood's 4th birthday.
Woo! Let's go.
So today, the 3rd of the 3rd, 2025, but 4 years ago on the 3rd of the 3rd, 2021, is when we hosted our first ever Brotherhood session. So it's pretty cool that we're sitting on the podcast 4 years later.
What did the session consist of?
Back then, similar to what we did today. Like Monday in Motion, it was 5 rounds of 6 exercises, 45 seconds on, 15 seconds off. But it had far less intent. The programming wasn't to the standard it is.
Did you have much equipment?
No, we had a 12 kilo kettlebell and that was it. And then we just used the park. Yeah, but it was. Awesome. It's it's a cool milestone to get to, and also to do Monday in Motion, where it also just kicked off from as well this morning with you guys out in the rain. That was a hell of a good time. So and then celebrating the month that has been. We're just stepping into March, first week of March, and looking at the wins of February as well, and celebrating an awesome month there as well, going out for brekkie on Thursday where you are, so look out wherever that's going to be. 3 bloody good looking studs coming at you. Hungry studs too, probably at that time.
Nice.
Do you want
Yeah,
Do you want to share, Cass?
Lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was in Tassie for the weekend, as you lads know, for a wedding. So, congrats to Jack and Sean.
Congrats, Jack and Sean.
Yeah.
Shout out.
More
Yeah.
celebration. Celebration.
But just when I was there, like, just realizing how powerful love is, I think was pretty cool to watch. Like, you get emotional at weddings. Yeah. So,
The power of love.
100%.
It's so good to celebrate that.
So I think just being fully present in my relationship is probably the big thing for me to be focusing on this week, you know. Just building up towards big days like that. And we've got our wedding coming up, so
Cool.
we're starting to plan it, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're January next year, aren't you?
a little later in the year, but yeah.
Yeah, 2027, aren't you?
26, but
26,
towards the
yeah.
end. But I think just, that was cool to watch. You know?
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
And your lesson for the week, is it the present, like, is that how you're going into this week, or did you learn?
So the lesson would be obviously traveling and stuff like that, needing to stay on top of my habits. So I think just putting time into, like, you don't have a full session, but 10 minutes will do. Do you know what I mean? Like, make sure you just don't give everything up just because you've got stuff on. That's a big one for me, I think.
Yeah.
Staying on your P's and Q's.
Well done.
Staying
man.
consistent even when the structure isn't the same.
100%.
To a degree.
That's
But
amazing to do. That is real discipline. Because I find myself, like, even now, it's like I've actually formed a habit with training with others to hold myself accountable.
Yeah.
And so if I don't turn up to the session, then I won't do something else.
Yeah.
So anyway,
I think, a lot of people are like, if they don't have the full time to do a full session, they just don't do anything. And
totally.
that's like, it's a habit of actually turning
Showing
up
up.
and doing it, not what you get out of the session, I think, a lot of the time. Because then it makes it much easier to turn up next time.
Yeah, that's such a good message.
That is the message, That is a lesson right there in itself. Yeah, well done, man.
Yeah.
Nice.
Curtis?
Beautiful. Mine. So my wins. I thought last week was a good week. I felt like, Brotherhood was very progressive. We had a good quiz night, and I feel like some good things. The momentum is building, and I went into the week trying to find more, because obviously I do the sales here and then the managing side. So I was trying to find, I wanted to put more into like the community side, the managing side. And I think I found a good balance of like also doing the sales and the community managing side. So I feel like I'm starting to find my balance and my flow and with like the new role to a degree. And so lesson from last week. I feel like just momentum. I feel like if you just keep showing up, like you were talking about before, things will happen, and a lot of good things happen in momentum. So maybe, the art of showing up. So instead of stopping the momentum, just keep showing up, keep doing, and things will work out. And then, but I did find as well, one of the other lessons was like every now and then I felt like I didn't really like switch off to a degree. It was either like I was kind of like on, but like sometimes like halfway on, or at home still messaging or doing stuff. So I found at times I was like a bit like, I want to say like not burnt out, but a bit like I was never off and I was never on. Like to a degree, it wasn't like, all right, you're on now, you're in, like go for it, and like you're off now, just rest. It was kind of like always a little bit like kind of just half the switch was on sometimes. So this week I sort of like thought of a little quote. It said, rest like a lion and pounce like a lion. So when I'm on, I'm on, like completely on. And when I'm off, I'm resting, I'm completely off. So finding that where I can put more into when it counts, and then when it's time to rest and rejuvenate, and actually go into that a bit more. So this week I want to trial and practice that, being more on and more off. On and off.
I like that.
On and
It's
off.
so true.
Yeah.
It's so true. That leads to burnout for sure. It's like, never switching off. I mean, and then sometimes you hear about people when they go away on holiday and they take that break and then they get sick because their nervous system or their body has like finally been given that chance to
they're in a
slow
safe
down
spot,
and
maybe
stop.
they can relax.
Yeah, exactly. And then the body's like, right, here's my opportunity. I'm taking this, and it floors you. And yeah,
Or they lose their first few days of holiday because they're still in work mode. I think
Yeah.
just like anything, that's a skill to practice switching off properly rather than
damn straight.
And it's so beneficial as well. Get that different perspective and you know, like what do they say? You end up like a lot of is it mathematicians or something. They'll go to bed like sleep on a problem, and then when they wake up, they'll have the answer. So it just shows you like the power of like rest can have in actually like getting the solution.
So good. I didn't. Yeah, that's nice to know, isn't it?
Yeah.
rest like a lion, pounce like a lion.
That's right.
I like it.
That's you heard it there first. Kudos, Evan.
Yeah. Might be a brand new quote.
There you go. Launch it.
All right.
What do we got next on the run?
Yeah, so next we're going to get into some questions. So we'll start with like an underrated health tip that has immensely benefited you guys, or a way or a lesson that you've learnt in health that maybe might not be mainstream media.
Dude, I got some.
Let's go. Let's hear it, bro. That's not what we're about.
Now this is I haven't prepared anything here, but I know probably back in 2021 when I was probably more so like going for like I told myself that I was on a podcast with Kai Kelly last week, and one of the things that he's like, what's made you want to get here, blah blah blah, and I sort of said, I remember I had a goal to be the number one holistic coach or something like that in Australasia or something back then, and so it's like everything I did was trying to steer towards what that might look like for me, and then also branding myself under that. It's like, who am I comparing against? Like, I've made this role for myself. So, but I did put together some tips of health. I'd love to read them and see if I still align with them, or if even you guys do. As they're so bizarre. Health. I wonder if it would be under health.
Unique health tips. Underrated.
Yeah. They're very. I need to try and find them. Actually, does anyone else can go before me, and then I can try and find these, and then.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, I'll take that.
Yeah.
So
take the floor.
For me, basically, I reckon body language is super underrated. For me, like for a lot of my people, clients, I'll hand out burpees for crossing their arms or hands on their hips and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's awesome. So just more positive body language. You feel like that.
Yeah, and I think
it's your health.
Yeah, just in general life though, like people look at someone with arms crossed, they're not angry or anything, but they look angry, you know.
Yeah, they're closed off.
So I think that's a
great tip. That's a fantastic tip.
I think it's really easy to like catch yourself in that moment, and then it's which means nothing to you, but closing off, starting to like you're then closing yourself off to a lot of ideas and a lot of people.
Yeah, well, everything's connected. The body, the mind. So if you're like sitting there closed off, hunched shoulders, you know, you're not going to be having the best time. I don't reckon.
I think that's underrated because no one's thinking or talking about that.
No,
that's a great.
We touched on this at Entrepreneurs Lounge with a lady called Sarah who came in and generously gifted us her time, and she was like a NLP kind of practitioner, and she'd done all these different things as well, but just like power postures and stuff like this, and like a soldier stance, which she spoke of being like soldiers always shoulders back, chest up, arms kind of to the side, legs kind of narrow. And then something I recognised about the shoulders, and like, what are the guys that guard Buckingham Palace, or the big beefeater kind of things?
They're real stoic.
Yeah, and they kind of stand there and they're quite straight like that. And you feel like if you did push them, they would be able to fall over though. So I feel like it's not as such a
It's got to be grounded.
Yeah, like you've got to have a good sort of stance. You got to have a bit of grip
shoulder
on the earth,
width, or
don't
a
you?
little bit
more.
More than shoulder width?
Well, then you're leaving yourself a bit vulnerable.
You don't want to be you don't want to be too wide. That might be like,
too wide's too much.
Yeah.
You've got to have a good
sort
arrogant. You've got to be just outside just hip width, don't you?
Hip width.
Yeah, hip width. And
staggered stance or just...
No, you can't have a staggered stance. No,
nah.
That's
like you better go for it.
But there was so much to that though, because like you were saying, being shut off or closed off from the world, or it screams like less confidence, or even like sometimes there'd be people's like feet direction or wherever their body's facing might show that they're wanting to exit the conversation, like they're actually like in a really uncomfortable spot right now, and their body's signaling, I want to get the hell out of here, but the mind's going, no, you got to stay in here and confront this or whatever, you know. So it's the body actually sends so many messages to being conscious and aware of someone else's. That's what I mean. Can you touch more on that? Or?
I just think that's a big part of like conversation, like you said. Like I think a lot of people don't think about that sort of thing, and it's exactly. That's good. I like the way you frame that. That was perfect.
How do you find these things, Guy?
I'm getting there. There's another one that I looked into as well, for just while we're going on posture as well. It's like Conor McGregor's a small man, but goddamn does he appear like he's the biggest man in the room. And like you watch him on things and he's always trying to take up space. Like if he was sitting on a sofa, he'd be trying to like consume the seat so that...
Man spread.
Yeah, he's man spreading. And he's man spreading for sure. And that's so it holds that kind of attractive energy.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, he's comfortable and thinks he's worthy, and like people that do that, it's attractive. Like power postures. He's like, oh wow, that guy's confident in himself. Like what's his story? What's to go there? It's I think it's a good thing. Obviously, you can overdo it, for sure. It's got to be authentic. To a degree.
I think being genuine with it's a big thing. Like, he's always looking relaxed.
Yeah.
Like you said with like soldiers, if you're too stiff and too tight, then you don't look comfortable either.
Yeah.
So,
We've probably got to go for a smoko and just reset or something.
Yeah. Reset that power posture. Yeah. I found my tips though.
Let's go, baby.
They were made in 2022, so let's see if they still align. But I've titled it "Healthy Ways to Be More Efficient." 1, have a cold shower. 2, boost your immunity by having constant airflow and subjecting yourself to external environments by sleeping with a window wide open permanently throughout the year. What do you feel about that? What do you feel about that?
I feel like that, putting yourself to the external environment is great. I think clothes, cars, there's too much comfort, and I think you can build that robustness from, even us training in the rain outside this morning. That's gonna make your immune system strong and stuff. But window, I mean, depends what neighbourhood you live in, I guess.
That's right. Well, that's one thing for sure. I guess I still resonate with this actually, because I feel like the change in climate, it's like when you go into an aeroplane, you know how everyone says, oh yeah, I got cabin fever, or not, I don't know if it's called cabin fever or whatever, but they get sick from everyone's stuff being in there because it's trapped, there's no airflow. And so if you have it's like breathing, it's like anything probably, where it's like you're letting the room breathe, then
is that why you drive with the windows down all the time?
Well, actually, no. No, in your car it is. It's the aircon though.
Yeah.
But I don't know. So I try, and I've always tried to leave the window cracked, I reckon, just so that there is some circulation in there for airflow.
Good tip.
I don't know. I'm torn on that.
Okay, talk to me. Yeah, please.
Because, well, for me, I'm a pretty light sleeper. I'm very protective of my house and my partner and stuff like that. So for me to get a quality sleep, I think if I left the window open, I would hear things and wake up.
Right, yeah.
So I wouldn't sleep very well, I don't think.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
And I don't think we're living in that time anymore where we need to be so on edge, Like, the world's a lot safer than it used to be.
So you're saying you could adjust to feeling safe, leaving the window open? Yeah. What about, what was I going to say there?
I like the car. The car window makes sense, yeah. I think aircon can be a big problem.
Stagnant air. Yeah, you want that flowing.
But for sure, staying away from, like, what's Gary Brecker say? He says, aging is the aggressive pursuit of comfort.
Yeah, right.
So he's saying, like, as we grow older, obviously, older people are told, don't do anything, don't go for a walk, don't whatever it is. Whereas that's actually what's keeping them younger for longer.
Yeah, for sure. That's a big one. Yeah, you got to act young to keep young.
Yeah, 100%.
Which is exercising and getting out there and doing stuff. And yeah, that's a big one. Well, it's that one where people retire and then all of a sudden they die pretty soon after because they have no purpose and they're not doing anything. So probably it's like, why keep this person alive? He's not actually doing anything. He doesn't need to be alive. Like I don't know if the body signals that or what. Did you have any more tips in there? Or?
Yeah, I got a few, bro. Do you want me to
that's
share them
page.
with
Maybe
you?
give us like a couple more.
Couple more? Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, there was one that I like how you were like, throwing up some heat against it for sure. That's good.
Gives a bit of back and forth.
We want some controversy here on the podcast. Like you're the hedonistic coaching. I want to see some. Because I've written these a few years ago.
Just on a personal front though. I don't know. It might suit other people.
Yeah, it's a good one. I
need my sleep.
That's a question I was going to ask. When was the last time you were sick?
Oh fuck, a long time ago.
When was the last time where you had to take a day off because you were sick?
I've been sick for I got sick at the start of the year for a couple of days, but it's usually only a couple of days. Yeah. And I'll kind of nip it in the butt pretty quick. Yeah. Yeah. So I don't think I've been sick for longer than a day or two for a long time. But
How about you? I'm similar. I feel like I'll have times where maybe I just feel a bit run down for a couple of days, and then when I got back from travel, I actually ended up feeling a bit run down at one stage. Early after, never felt like completely sick. Yeah. Never. I haven't been fucking shot down by the flu or something like that.
Neither. Like and we had a guy come in the other day and said, "Oh man, I've got a headache," and and Cass and I immediately went to like, okay, well, have you had enough water? Have you been sleeping enough? Blah blah blah. And then whereas a lot of people would run for the Nurofen or the Paranol, you know what I mean? And that's what the cure used to be back in NZ as well. It was like, quick fixing. Oh, you've got a headache. You need a pain relief. Rather than what's actually going on internally, where you have sacrificed, some part of your well-being in order for you to sustain your.
That's that holistic approach.
That's it. And so I haven't been sick in ages. Definitely like. There are days where I feel like I might be a little bit more run down, but I think there's still the natural process of the body does need to purge some toxins at some point as well. I'm doing a gut cleanse biannually now, so I do 2 gut cleanses a year just to flush the system out. And be it through parasite cleanse or gut cleanse or whatever, even enemas and stuff I've been with at the minute, and like. Dude, loving it. I love experimenting with my body and all those cleanses, and I think that's a good tip as well, just to run yourself through some of those protocols and see how it enhances or adapts or changes your lifestyle.
It's the ability to, it's like HRV with your heart rate. It's like the ability for your heart to adjust to certain stimulus,
velocities.
So I think that's where fasting's super powerful because it's not comfortable. If you just ate all the time, you get too comfortable in it.
You got to try things, and the body's adaptable. We're super. That's why we're probably, top of the apex is because we're so adaptable in climates and whatever we do. But mine is actually when I put it into the chat, and then Kyle said something about a story about it, kind of made me think about the question in a bit of a different way, but. Like an underrated health tip. I've had 3 shoulder surgeries, so obviously that's sucked, but it had made me really get in tune with my body, and the physios and that give you all those generic banded exercises and all this stuff, but I sort of found that I started to get real good results and getting better when I actually started putting it in positions and stuff where people are like, that's probably not safe, or you shouldn't do that. Like you were talking about with the Nurofen and stuff before, I was probably going that more holistic path of rightio, if I want it to be strong and stuff, I've actually got to put it in places where it needs to become strong, This banded stuff, that's it works a little bit, but then ended up hanging off bars and doing certain stuff like this. So that underrated health tip. Yeah, I don't know if it comes under that category, but it's more like, yeah, you gotta sort of listen to yourself and maybe not listen to the mainstream and certain other people that are definitely into that training. And yeah, like sort of you've got to make things. You got to do uncomfortable things to grow, like, and whether that's an injury and then getting it better, you got to put it in certain positions and certain stuff that it's forced to become stable. Because why would it become stable if you never like put it in a position where it has to be? You know, it's never working those muscles. So yeah, that made me think of that story of like my shoulder injury process of like getting stronger like that. Which is cool. Now I can do things where like it's like handstands or whatever it is. So
yeah, I think a big part of that's just being accountable for your own health. Like
100%. You know, take it into your own hands.
You see people that just listen to all the mainstream advice and they just go around in circles. You know.
Yeah.
Which.
Yeah, because it's like I'll use it. It's like analogy. It's like, you know how you can see when you know road works and that you've got a beautiful road and then there's obviously been a bit of rain where it's created a pothole and then that pothole just as people go through it just keeps getting deeper and then finally someone comes in and they fill the pothole and it's just like been touched up pretty, you know, just as like a bit of a surface level. This is just a, you know, it's not as good as a fully laid road. It's like you may as well go back, relay the road. And then it'll be clear of any like of those little potholes and stuff
lay
like
the
that.
foundation.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, heal it from the found. And the drugs or the things that are just like instant relief, they're just that. It's instant relief.
Masking.
It's masking. Yeah, it's just surface level stuff. It's not getting to the root.
I don't even take Panadol or anything like that.
Nah.
Barely. I'll just I'd rather like that. The pain's a messenger as well.
It is.
You know, and it's telling your body to adapt in a way. So it's like you may as well just feel it. Like you're meant to be feeling that. Why would you sort of like mask it? It doesn't seem like it's, you know, there's obviously certain degrees where, you know, maybe someone's in super pain where they've got to do it. But I think as much as you can feel it, like feel it, you know. It's not going to kill you.
Exactly.
It's going to make you stronger.
With those sort of things too, you sort of mentioned it before, Guy, but they come at a consequence and then they come at a cost, and then that cost leads you back to that same thing.
Yeah.
That's the cycle.
Comes the cycle.
You know?
Yeah.
Then they got you.
100%.
Then they got you forever.
No, good stuff. And
so you come to Brotherhood.
That's right. And then you come to Brotherhood, and then that's where the real healing takes place.
Internal and external. So next question, where you come up with this one, Guy. So where do you feel men are missing the mark these days?
And actually, I can't claim this question. Georgia Chivers said this to me.
Shout out Georgia.
Shout out Georgia Chivers, who's my partner. But yeah, she should have said, where do you feel like, you know, men can be better or something like this? And we reframed it to like, where do we feel men are missing the mark these days? And this is speaking from a societal level.
Yeah, like an overview.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's probably a bit different for all of us because we don't allow ourselves to be within the presence of men that act in a certain way.
Yeah, also that's just happened out of energetics, I feel.
Yeah.
It's like that's just your vibe attracts your tribe, and so now it's like it's a reminder every time I go into that Coles across the road and I see something like, oh my goodness, like you're still living this way. You're still choosing to suffer.
Yeah. It's crazy, because we are in a bit of a bubble sometimes. But your vibe attracts your tribe. But then you walk into Coles and you see that stuff, you're like, what the fuck?
And we are absolutely privileged. Like we are absolutely privileged to have access to the knowledge and resources and abundance that we have. You know, not to and respect for those out there that have been and haven't been shown a different way or haven't had that someone to try and guide them and sometimes it does take people to want to be guided in order to find the help that they need, but so there's different roads with that for sure. But where were you going with that as well?
I mean, just like it's just the education, obviously, people to know where to go and what to learn. But what was the question? Can you repeat the actual question?
Where are men missing the mark these days?
I'm gonna say, well, as we sort of spoke about, culture is a big part of that. And there's a lot of different elements to that, but I think respect's probably just a big one. And then I don't think you can respect others truly until you respect yourself.
Yeah, 100%.
So I actually on the weekend, there was a couple of lads out the front of our room in the hallway, just like till 2 a.m. the night before the wedding. So we were trying to get our snooze, and they were just partying. And I just left a note. I just said, I understand you guys are having a good time. You can't respect yourself, so I can't expect you to respect anyone else.
Yeah.
I hope you guys decide to make better choices.
Yeah.
And just left a little note for
Yeah.
them.
Slip that under their door or something.
Yeah.
Because it's
Just
not...
leave it-
That'd be good for them
just
to
let
like read.
them think about that. You know what I mean?
Let them simmer on that for the day.
Yeah. That's a good way to put it as well. It's not aggressive. It's not harsh. It's like if you're only going to take offence to that if you believe it to be true.
Yeah.
You know.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I hope it sat with them.
Yeah.
And they were like, God
No
damn.
question.
Yeah.
You're changing lives just through a letter. Yeah. So mine, I think, I missed the mark. I just think men these days are lacking purpose and clarity to a degree. I feel like, the information age is probably a big cause of that. There's so many things out there, there's so many opportunities and all that where it's overwhelming for guys to a degree. It's like, what do they do? So they end up not doing anything or not deciding or bouncing too much from one thing to the other.
Bloody oath.
And so I think decisiveness is probably that's a masculine trait, and that's something that I think is lacking. And I know that's something myself I've been really working hard on is making decisions and making decisions faster. So I feel like purpose and clarity is what's lacking in men today, and I think that's a lot of culture and society and just the information age for sure. I don't know if you guys got any thoughts about that.
Yeah, I reckon that's great. I think, like you say, it's such a masculine trait to like be in that leadership sort of position where you do have to make decisions fast, and those decisions that are made fast, it's definitely a practice of like, okay, making the decision, got it wrong, but guess what? It's not a loss, it's a lesson. So you've got to take that lesson and learn to improve on it next time.
Yeah,
and
something that you're quite good at, I've noticed. You can make decisions fast,
thank you.
Which is cool, and it's probably like why you're in a position where you're at now.
Definitely
So you're saying
practice.
it's like it's a practice, like it's a muscle you train.
Absolutely, I reckon. Yeah, and like Phil Knight from Shoe Dog, who is the founder of Nike, his quote that I've lived by is like, fail fast. And it's, like, don't be afraid of failure. Lean into that, and then because on the other side of that, you're going to learn the lesson faster in the long run, and you'll get further steps ahead through encountering that failure.
No, that's great.
Yeah, but I think so like that leadership of men and making those decisions, and even for your woman, like, what she wants to be led, like that's the thing. She wants you to be able to make the decisions to take her out for dinner or to do, like,
so
not
she
that
can
has
lean
to
into
go
her feminine.
Yeah, totally. And that's something I'm learning as well, because it's a dance, because you don't want to constantly be in the no, this is my way or the highway, but have enough sort of ideas for her to want to come along, and for her to flow, so she can let go and not feel like she has to do everything all the time. And so that I fully resonate with that answer of yours, and yours as well. Yeah.
How about you?
For my ones, I turn to like somewhat of the stats as well, and I look at, because I've some of the work that we've been doing with Jason and Martin at the minute, and it's just looking into the stats, because the stats don't lie. And we made that reel with Tommy not that long ago, and it was like 575,000 men have taken their life in suicide in a year. And it's like, okay, so where are men missing the mark, where they feel like the only option is to take their own life, and do that, that there's no other option left for them in the world. And I would say it's a lack of support. I'd say it's a lack of guidance from healthy masculinity, from authentic masculinity, where it's like met with compassion, and it's also because probably maybe in the past they did ask for help, but it was completely shut down or suppressed. And so now they don't ask for help.
Yeah.
So that's where that lone wolf mentality comes into. That's where toxic masculinity comes into. And I think that in a man's true vulnerability to ask for help and be like, hey man, I actually don't know the answer to this right now, or hey man, my family and I are really struggling at the minute, like, can you house us for a night or whatever it be till I get back on my feet? And that man would be like, absolutely brother, jump in, I got 2 beds available, thought you never asked, or something. It's like asking the question is just going to get you closer to that more decisive action. And I think that's where we're missing the mark, is their ability to perceive asking for help as weakness rather than strength. And so that's where I feel, that's what I see that as being the biggest thing. That's what, you can't receive support unless you're willing to receive it or ask. So
that's a great lesson.
I think a big theme of all of those was like being too afraid of weakness, if that makes sense. Like for, the decision fatigue sort of stuff, it's like guys don't want to be wrong so bad. Do you know what I mean? Like they're trying to be right.
Try to get the
everything,
right decision.
Whereas and then like you just said then, not showing any weakness doesn't allow you to express yourself and get the help you might need in those situations.
I think it's men. They want to. A lot of them want to look a certain way, and that's, you don't want to look like a failure. But again, to get somewhere fast, fail fast. So that seems like a theme of a bit of that. Don't be afraid of failure.
I think strong men don't feel like they need to be strong. If that makes sense. Like
what do you go into that a bit more?
Not so much they don't need to be strong, but strong men don't feel the need to overshow that they're strong.
Overcompensate.
They're okay. They're okay to show a little bit of weakness because they feel strong in a lot of other areas. And then they get the help they need, or they make the decision that might be wrong. They're okay with accepting that they're wrong and then learning from that.
And
they take advice a lot better. And
totally, that's the strength in their identity is what supersedes the display, or like the what am I trying to say? When it's fake, it's like it's
posing.
You're posing as something that you're not, and that's inauthentic.
People read that.
And it's just
for sure
downstream going to cause effects. Cause problems. No, that's
like sometimes you see that person that's super loud or super you can tell they're just overselling that, and they're trying to show confidence, but
it's coming across as external validation. Like, I need this. I need this. Which is and then it comes back and it's like, because you need this, you're lacking in some area.
No, that was a good deep dive.
We went hard
there. So next one, another deep question. What does freedom mean to you?
Do you want me to lead?
Yeah.
Freedom to me would be complete, I guess, mastery of the mind, because you're going to have a lot of times where you don't have the freedom to do things you don't want to do all the time. So you might have to do something that you don't want to do, but if you've got the right mindset to be able to handle those things, then you're always free, if that makes sense.
Totally.
Self mastery.
I think having that allows you to not feel trapped in any moments. You just sort of know the path through those sort of situations or whatever it is. And then that allows you to also see the good in everything. It's pretty deep thought, hey? Guys thinking pretty hard over there.
I was even thinking, how can we... do you feel the most free you ever have in your life right now?
Yeah, I
think
so.
Or do you feel there's a moment where you've felt more free?
There's been moments where, I guess in my life, where I've had certain things happen that people would see as negatives, and I've been really happy in those moments. Like
Okay.
I remember I there's a full game where I fully did my ankle like real bad, and I had a heap of niggling ankle injuries before that, and in that moment when I did it, it was like the world stopped, and it was almost like all right, sweet, let's finally deal with this,
Finally done it
rather
proper.
than me like
Yeah.
holding it over me the whole time.
Yeah,
if that
yeah.
makes sense.
I
I
getcha.
knew it was coming.
Yeah.
It was coming, but once it did, I was like, okay, sweet.
It's like you have to deal with it now.
Let's go through the process of dealing with this. You know?
Yeah.
It kind of gave me a bit of resolve, I guess.
Okay.
That's
cool.
like one example of it, but I think
You're like, fuck yeah, finally.
Yeah,
Did the ankle
yeah,
proper good.
let's go. And I think that's where like direction is super important. If you've got some kind of path you're going in,
Yeah.
like guys get lost in depression and stuff like that when they don't have their North Star that they're going towards.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, cool. How about you, Guy?
That's true, yeah. I was trying to draw parallels with mine because I was thinking, I do think discipline is the road to freedom as well, because
Bit of Jocko Willing.
is that a bit of Jocko, is it? Yeah, like it's probably bloody in every person who's disciplined, you know, and yeah, because
How does that give you freedom, being disciplined?
I think, and now this is I was just looking into this with Georgia yesterday as well, is like the difference between compromise and sacrifice. It's like, what are you willing to sacrifice is something so much better than willing to compromise for something.
So sacrifice, like you voluntarily choosing to sacrifice. Compromise is like you don't want to
Yeah, it's probably
do it, but you just do it.
That's probably a good way to put it. It's like compromise would be just someone else,
Yeah.
whereas you're sacrificing for yourself.
Yeah.
You know, and if it's probably something in you that you're willing to sacrifice. So, the fun now for the fun later. What's harder? Or even waking up in the morning and straight on Instagram. Like, I know some guys that like get up and then instead of going and like, we got up and bloody trained like as hard as we could for 30 minutes and did breathwork and stuff. It's like that's out of the way now. Like that's the rest of the day is sent for. As it can be whatever comes up in the rest of my day, I feel capable of combating.
Yeah.
And yeah,
It's not gonna be as hard as that workout.
yeah, exactly right. If anything's harder than the workout during your day, then you've got a pretty hard day. It should be that way anyway. But I think the discipline being the highest form of self-love. How can you show yourself discipline in those areas throughout the day to ultimately like encounter more freedom throughout the day as well. And there's such a balance to that as well, because some people believe like get stuck in I need to be disciplined all the time and then I'll get my break, and they get addicted to the struggle or to the constant.
It's like a chore.
It's a real balance there again. Hey, when we were speaking on that earlier as well, I can't remember what that was, but we were saying there's balance there too.
I think like discipline goes both ways though. It's the discipline to allow yourself like we're talking about the lion, right? Rest like a lion.
Yeah.
Pounce like the discipline to rest and rejuvenate yourself properly.
That's a discipline as well.
That is a discipline. So I think instead of getting caught where you go in that mindset of go, like you said, some people get caught in. It's like, no, I'm going to be disciplined to this 20-minute meditation that I set out I was going to do. You know? Yeah, just on that, like I've got a saying that I kind of live by a little bit, and it's now, not later.
Yeah, nice.
So I think that kind of helps create freedom as well. If you're disciplined to do what you need to do now, then you get later. You're always kind of ahead of life. If that makes sense.
True. Yeah.
It's like as soon as you start leaving things till later catches up, and you've got 5 things to do instead of 1.
Yeah.
Just get it done. There's no time like the present moment.
Well,
It's
you
like
got
with
better.
your health tips too. It's like if you're not gonna address this ankle now, and or if you're not gonna fully rehabilitate that foot, or if you're not gonna fully invest in doing that now, later on down the line, you're looking at $20,000 surgery bills or something like that, and it could have just been a 10-minute morning practice for 3 months.
For sure.
Yeah.
Could
Freedom.
save you.
What does freedom mean to me? Freedom to me means, I think it's living on your own terms, like your own values, and not, compromising that. So living in your own terms, and also maybe when I was younger, I used to think freedom's like traveling the world or doing whatever or not answering to anything. But I think taking more responsibility, I think for myself has been great. You know, that's given me freedom to trust myself. So I think freedom for me is basically like living your life in your own terms and not like blocking yourself or getting stuck within. So that freedom of mind you touched on, Cass. So sort of like freedom of allowing life to flow and not getting attached or stuck or this happened, I'm real pissed, or that guy in the traffic, or just letting life like flow, like the freedom there. So that's freedom as well, living on my own terms and then letting things flow as well.
I'd back that as well. Freedom would be your ability to dive into. Oh, that would be a good one. I said that the other day. So I'd love to get to a place within myself where I can have my intuition, whatever drops in for me intuitively, act on that immediately.
Yeah,
that would be freedom.
Well, that's a great segue to our next question, which is
go.
So it's ways you guys find to lead with your heart, which I guess we can say can be linked in with intuition, you think?
Yeah, I would say so. Absolutely.
So, yeah.
I would look into intuition as like bodily led. It's like the intuition of the... Well, we look at intuition, we break that down, it's like your inner tutor. And it's like, so who's your inner tutor in these moments? And like some people get it from the gut. Like the gut is the second brain, they say. And then, but in my Myers-Briggs test, and I broke down and it said, for me, it was like 51% in my intuition and then 49% in my logic, which I looked as like, oh, that's nice sort of heart-mind coherence. Yeah, like that's a good symmetry. Like lead from my heart, but then also have the ability to take stock, analyse, reflect on, is this a good move? Is this a good decision? And then reinforce it from that place. I'd say intuition for sure. Like I would lead from the heart for sure. I reckon I'm always trying to tap into that if that's first innately feels good in my body, and then make that reinforcing decision with like, and the numbers support it. The other data they have available is
checks out.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I think they kind of go hand in hand, those questions, intuition and freedom. I think if you're living from what you intuitively feel and you don't have to do things that go against your values and morals, then you are free to.
Yeah,
that's
for
a
sure.
really cool thought there. But as far as what is intuition to me and how I would find it, it would be exactly that, I think. Just surrounding myself with people that suit or have similar core values and morals. Yeah.
Right.
But getting clear on those is probably the first step to finding your way into that.
Getting clear on your values and morals.
I think so.
What are morals?
Morals to me would be, I guess it's shaped by your family.
I would agree.
The way you raise, but I think they can be altered and tweaked, same as your core values, I think.
Yeah, I feel like your values are yours. Your morals are what are passed on or something almost.
Yeah.
So what are you raised around? That's your morals.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It could be completely wrong. We'll have to look that up.
Yeah.
Kyle?
That's right. So...
We better introduce Kyle as well. Kyle's our cameraman. He's in behind.
Yeah.
Running what we
put
like
the camera around.
He's doing some Brotherhood ladman.
Yeah. Thanks, Carl. Leading with my heart, intuition. Yeah, so I think first, if you want to lead with your heart for myself, is then you got to quieten the mind. So find ways to get whether that's meditation, whether that's a long walk, whether I find it a lot easier to sort of tap into the body if my mind's not too frantic. So whatever way, exercise can do that, breath work, meditation, just being at peace with yourself. So that, and then as well, I think now what I'm as well, like just something recently that I've thought about is, I think you were even touching on it maybe even in this podcast, but like just when the sensation or when that intuition comes up, act on it straight away. So don't really question it. Just like if it's more of a knowing or a feeling, and it's like, we'll just go with that. Just go with it, and then find out, and then train it whether that was right, or you'll figure out whether that was right or wrong. But yeah, I think you got to sort of lead with the heart. Yeah, you got to sort of take. I think as well, it's taking yourself out the picture, leading with your heart, and all right, what's the best for humans? What's the best like for your heart? You're not really thinking about your ego, are you? When you're in your heart, it's more like. So you're taking yourself out of the scenario a little bit. What's actually best? I think that's leading with your heart.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I'd love to, in the experience with because I think there's probably a big question as well as for young men or even older men that have lived life or have gone through life without the ability to tap into their heart and or their gut or something like that, and probably just use that as a term that always comes, feeling my gut or whatever, But how can people practice? And you kind of touched on it there with like just feel it a little bit or something like that. And I'd even say like turning from reaction to response is a huge one for that as well. It's like rather than the initial just urge to just instantly react to something, and it could show up in the forms of an argument with someone, and the initial response is the initial reaction is to probably just bite back. But when you're coming more into your heart, as you say, it's like, okay, can I sit with this for a little bit and can I respond? Because I'd say reaction is acting before thinking, and then response is thinking before acting. So how can we convert this into becoming a part of reverse this psychology so it becomes landed and grounded in who we are and how we make all decisions, and react in that intuitive moment to actually just take that moment, like you say, to quiet the mind and just be like, how can I come from a place of love, which is heart, love is heart, and how can I alchemize this so that like that person just needs to calm down. They're just in a heightened state. If you can approach it with love and meet them and from a place of love, they're instantly going to be like, I can't go over the top of this guy now. He's too bloody nice. He's too...
kill him with kindness.
Yeah, kill him with kindness, hey. Yeah, it's...
Yeah, and I don't know whether like intuition for you feels more like a knowing rather than, I think that's right. It's more like...
Yeah.
It's more like I just know. Yeah. I know that's right, or like if you're about to kick a goal or something, or fight, you're about to do something, I just knew it was going to happen, or I just know.
I think you've gotten yourself to that place though, and we have too. But a lot of people don't.
How do you get yourself there? How do you get yourself to being more like and trusting that?
Yeah.
Well, I think a big part of it is like going back to food, like eating well, getting your hormones in checks, making sure that you're eating well. You can
the vessel's running properly,
100%,
and not.
I think that's where holistic health sort of comes into it.
Yeah,
it allows you to get your mind right.
Dude, totally, and because even things that are suppressing amygdala or whatever it's called. And,
what was that?
Whatever that part is in your brain, you know the
amygdala.
One. Yeah, and then you've got your pineal gland, and that's all getting calcified from just like water. Like some people are still drinking tap water, and I'm like, wow, that's what I mean. It's a culture shock because it's like I've been doing this for so many years now, and it surprises me. But even just those little things where you can start to reverse those processes and bring it back to more in alignment with nature, which is our human essence, which is dialing back to those things. We are very intuitive creatures by nature, how we arrive here, and then it's through our environmental conditions and fit conditions conditioning us to remove us more so from being our natural self. And so learning about those things with health for sure is going to help that. And then over time, as you build this awareness to feel and like into these little senses, and it can link back to the failure thing as well. Like through more adversity and failure, you come to trust yourself more because you bounce back every time. You're like, oh fuck, I just failed hardcore and I'm still alive. Yeah, and it's like, goddamn, I'm an impressive being. And that's
you got to trust yourself.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, you got to trust yourself probably to do something.
Yeah.
And then if you do fail and you come back, then and you know you do it again and make it work, then you start trusting yourself more. It's
totally.
Like
yeah.
You got to throw yourself out there to sort of build yourself.
I think everything in like modern day is taking us further and further away from intuition. Like if you looked at
just trying to strip it out,
like indigenous tribes and stuff, how do they figure out plant medicine and stuff like that? That's all intuition. You know, there's no way you send us out into the forest or whatever. We're not finding medicine. Do you know what I mean? We're just
so you got to find ways to
die pretty quick.
totally.
So even just little ways to practice your intuition, like you're at a restaurant, you got to order the food and you get a feeling to get that. Just do it. Just practice those little things of however you can practice your intuition. You got to find it because we got the internet these days, which will fucking make our decision for us if we let it. So you definitely got to develop that wherever you can in your life. Sort of just acting on that not indecision, on that intuition.
Just on that, there's like stories of Paul Check, and like believe what you want, but stories of him being out for dinner and like everyone would order the same thing and he would just not feel right about it, and then they would all get food poisoning, and he just knew with his intuition. I don't know. Yeah.
Well, I believe it.
He's tapped in.
Totally. Yeah. I believe that for sure.
But I think like the overarching thing is get healthy.
That it all just links back together. That holistic health, like training is often a gateway to just being more intuitive, being heart led, and more because you start getting into your body rather than your head, and then so it's like training. I found training a gateway for this sort of authentic, heart led sort of way of life. Maybe it was just the actual physical act of like using my body and tapping into the body rather than. So it all links back together and everything's like interconnected. That's why we're so big on holistic health, So that's beautiful.
Man.
How about you guys? Got any final comments?
No, I think that was really good. I just I really want to urge the practice of like intuition, and as you go about this week. Maybe set that intention for yourself to recognize more bodily signals. So in the moment where have you ever had this happen? Like this is where I realized just how strong my intuition was, as I can put something on a table and go, my old self, my ego, and still practicing, absolutely. But I'd put a bottle on the corner of a table, and I used to be a daredevil for sure, and like, that rebellious nature. But now, and then I'd used to be like, oh, it'll be right, like it'll come. And then, but no, sure enough, it would fall and break. And then, so now, every time that's my intuition showing up. I put the bottle there, I had the instinctual thought, that will fall and break, or that could fall and break. And in that moment, instead of just moving a little bit inwards, I've gone, my ego's showing up and has gone, oh, but just risk it. See if it doesn't, you know what I mean? See if it doesn't. And one time it hit me hard because like that was my universal lesson. My bottle was on the edge of this van, and my bag was, and it had my bottle inside it, but it also had my laptop, my earphones, my something else, and I put it there on the side of the van, and I thought to myself. It was on the day we were moving all of the equipment out of Adam's garage into this place here. And I was in a bit of a rush and blah, blah, blah. So, it was all a bit frantic and a bit chaotic. But I put that bag there and I thought to myself, that could fall. But instead of taking those extra 2 seconds to just pick it up and put it back there, I left it, came back, heard the smash, and lost my laptop, lost my phone. So like, yeah, the consequence of that intuitive sensation or feeling that arose within my body to indicate to my brain, you should move that damn bag, I ignored, and I paid the price. So
learned the lesson.
Yeah, and now I've learnt the lesson. It's like when those moments show up and it's telling me to do that, like I said earlier, like when I get that, if I can act immediately from that place of intuition, that would be a place of freedom for me to come from. So yeah, that would be a practice that I'd love to just have people try and notice as they go about this week.
Yeah, great.
Here's like a little practice. I don't know. Have you heard of the duck bill test?
No.
Duck wheel?
Duck bill.
Duck bill.
So it sort of like helps you with, if you guys are struggling with connecting to your intuition, I guess. So what you do is you get your non-dominant hand and make like this little C shape. Then you get your other hand and close it down. You ask your body or your mind to show you what a yes feels like. So dear soul, dear body, show me what a yes feels like. And usually it's going to be nice and hard and firm, right? And then you go, dear body or soul, show me what a no feels like, and it's going to start to collapse. So then whenever I have big questions that I've got to ask myself, and I'm not 100% sure, usually you know the answer inside.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's impressive, hey?
Yeah.
It works.
It works. So, yeah.
That's how you rooted a yeses in our body,
100%, yeah. So if I've got these questions where I just need to be reassured, because like I said, you've got the answer inside you already, because it's there. That's how that works.
Yeah.
Right? But
Shuts down that thinking brain.
Yeah, that's how I make some of my decisions.
Straight as fuck.
That's a great little practice.
Yeah. It works really well for food too. Like,
should I eat that?
Should I eat this? Is this going to make me feel good? Just simple yes or no questions.
I think it was Ram Dass as well that said, like, we already know. And like you say, the answer's already inside of us.
The answers are within.
Yeah. Oh.
Sometimes in the end, just reassurance. You know?
Yeah, that's great, man. I love that. Thank you.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's good value. Yeah, definitely do those things. And maybe find ways to quieten your mind this week, whether that's getting out in nature, putting down the phone, find ways to quieten the mind, to tap into the mind and not to tap into the heart is what I would give to value this week. I think that was a good little end section, little value add section.
Yeah, a little value add section. Yeah, and now we tap into our value add section. No additional cost, free of charge. But yeah, take that home and implement that throughout your week. Yeah. Well done, brothers. Another solid potty. Power Rangers.
Out.
We'll see you next week, dudes. Have a great week ahead. Ciao.